Welcome to another edition of Rave Green Magazine, Sounders fans. My name is Rich Michelson, Seattle Side Up soccer editor, and joining me today, Abraham Delis, Seattle Side Up editor-in-chief and soccer contributor. Good to see you, Abe. How are you doing today?
Hey, good seeing you, Rich. Glad to be back.
Glad to be back, too. It's great to do another edition of Rave Green Magazine. So, let's talk about recent action that the Sounders have been in. Since we taped last, they played 2 matches, one in MLS play and one in CONCACAF Champions League.
Oh, yeah. Both of these games were great, Rich. Sounders kicked the backsides of the Whitecaps 3-0 on Saturday and 3-0 yesterday. We took them out. They have been leading the league they're in the catbird seat for the Supporter Shield, but we knocked them down a peg.
Absolutely. I got to tell you, I was super impressed with the effort on Saturday night in the MLS game up in Vancouver. I don't know if BC Place has a good nickname like the Blue Cauldron or the White.
No, not quite yet. Actually,
like that. But it's
been renovated. It's pretty nice, but it doesn't quite have the same atmosphere as maybe Portland, obviously Seattle, or Kansas City.
Absolutely. No, but what did our guys do? They came out 3-0, key contributions from a number of the players. Let's talk about it.
Oh, yeah. Andres Ivanschitz, the Austrian David Beckham. That's who I was excited about. In fact, in my article last Saturday, I gave him the SSU man of the match. Not because he did much as far as statistically. It's the leadership he presented, the passing, the set pieces. Everything he does is immaculate and beautiful.
I totally agree. And his ability to control the ball under pressure, but do it up at the front end of the attack instead of in the back. It's a whole nother dimension that has been lacking. And, we had a good, 8 or 9 guys that can really dominate with their possession, their ability just to stand up under the pressure. That was fantastic to see.
Is it me, Rich, or in that MLS game on Saturday, did it just look like the talent, your Obafemi Martins, your Clint Dempsey's, your Nelson Valdez, your Andreas Ivanschitz, the talent is all on the green side, not as much on the white side.
It was definitely on the green side. It was definitely on Seattle's side. And that's not to say that Vancouver doesn't have talent, but they obviously were not wrecked with injuries like Seattle was earlier in the year. Also, a couple of their key contributors were out. Probably their best player, Pedro Morales, was out, who's fantastic on set pieces and brings that leadership element because he's 30. He's probably the most veteran presence that plays on a regular basis. So he was missing. So obviously the talent level was different, but it was also, to use a baseball analogy here, this was like the New York Yankees playing the Tampa Bay Devil Rays.
It kind of was. And we saw it again on Wednesday. Yesterday in Champions League play, Sounders took them out again, 3-0, mostly backup players on both sides. Our depth is better than theirs too.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at it. Lamar Nagel got a brace.
That's right.
Almost scored. He got 2 assists. It turns out that the goal he thought he'd scored turned out to be went to Valdez, who also had 2 assists. So you had 2 players that during the dire days of the summer were in the doghouse of every Seattle Sounders fan. Both huge contributors, and the score could have been worse than it was.
Oh, yeah. And that game was actually worse than it should have been. Mm-hmm. I think that the Vancouver Whitecaps kind of gave up.
Yeah, evidenced by the lineup that they ran out there. Yeah. They definitely did not they didn't even play their B squad. They played their
C or F- squad.
There was one guy that started on a regular basis, Patamuka.
Yeah.
Nobody else. I was looking through the lineup and I'm like, I don't recognize him. I don't recognize him. I don't recognize him. I don't recognize him.
I'm a little confused though, Rich. Are they just going all in on MLS? Have they decided they don't care about Champions League? Because the Sounders are now in the knockout stage.
Yeah, I mean, it must have been that. The other thing is they just won the Canadian Championship a couple of weeks ago, so they're into next season's Champions League already. So maybe they think, well, we've already got that in the bag. This is a good learning experience.
Sure.
Let's take a shot at getting the number 1 or 2 seed in the West. Let's go for the Supporter Shield. That's more important anyway.
You bet.
But, I mean, who knows?
Yeah, another team looking for the Supporter Shield is one Sporting KC. a team that the Sounders play this weekend.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just a few weeks ago, they were on top of MLS as far as points per game. They were just killing teams. I mean, just absolutely demolishing them. And then our good friends, the Earthquake from San Jose, went to Sporting Park and ripped out the heart of Sporting Kansas City, and they haven't been the same since. They lost 5-0 at home. And since then, they've lost 4 out of 5. A week ago, on Saturday, it looked like they had righted the ship. They won 3-1 against an impressive FC Dallas team.
Right, but then they dropped one right after that.
Yeah, they lost just this last Wednesday in a dispiriting loss. Their head coach was not pleased, and affecting Sunday's match. Everyone's favorite whipping boy, Benny Feilhaber, who's been excellent this year, but is also focus. He's out with a yellow card. Totally. And their central defender, Beasler, who's been on the national team, he's also out. And Feilhaber has to feel like Clint Dempsey did during the U.S. Open Cup.
Well, also Tony Miela, their pretty good goalie, has an injured hamstring. Yep. Is he going to be able to play? Not sure yet, but if he does play, it's not going to be 100%.
Right. It's absolutely true. And it begs the question, Sporting Kansas City has a number of good players, Dom Dwyer, Christian Nemeth, Graham Zusi, Benny Feilhaber, Matt Beasler, and a number of other good contributors. But without their 2 stars in the defensive side, and a Graham Zusi who's been unimpressive at best this year, Dom Dwyer who's been inconsistent and kind of pouts when he doesn't get the ball, Christian Nemeth who does the same thing. I wonder if this team is coming apart at the seams. I wonder what Kansas City team we'll see, the one that was ripping the league apart in July, or the one that's fallen apart since the end of July.
I have a pretty nihilistic view as far as Sporting KC goes. Not only nihilistic in fatalistic outlook, but I see a 2-0 win for the Sounders. How about you?
I see the soccer gods giving the Sounders some vengeance here. I'm going to say 3-1, just because I think that the refs are probably going to give Sporting Kansas City a goal somehow, like they did the last time they played. But the soccer gods don't like it when all the calls go against one team.
Sure.
For
I see it all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at the bad calls that went against us at Sporting Park in a game that we probably should have won 1-0, and we lost instead 1-0 on a penalty kick that was dubious at best.
Yeah.
So Seattle's hitting on all cylinders. The fact that Seattle is deep, like 3 deep at every position. The fact that guys that were starting for Seattle earlier in the season, like Andy Rose and Dylan Remick, didn't even make the bench for the Champions League match. Right. Tells me that this team is deep, that the team is competing, everyone is hungry, and they are ready to go.
Restocked and ready to go. All right, we gotta leave in a minute. I just want to give you my brief feedback on where the Sounders are and where they're going to progress. Right now, they're at 44 points?
They're at 45 points.
45 points, and at 48 points are the Vancouver Whitecaps. I had said, no way. Supporter Shield, no way. Not going to happen. Now there's a little possibility. Has me kind of interested.
I'm optimistic as well. Here's the thing that I'd like to say is that, while form is fleeting and class never is, and Seattle has the class right now in the Western Conference as far as talent and form going on. Right now, their opponent after Sporting KC, to look past that a little bit, LA Galaxy has to come to Seattle for the first time this year. And LA is terrible on the road. Negative 15 goal differential on the road. That's right. Negative 15.
Awful.
Now, they're great at home. They're like plus 27. But negative 15 on the road.
That's it. We got to get home field advantage then. We got to get it.
Absolutely. And the way that LA has been playing, again, they looked like they were going to tear the league apart all through the summer. In the last little while, they lost at RSL 3-0 in an uninspired match. I watched almost the whole thing. RSL looked like RSL of like circa 2011. I know we got to go here. Any last thoughts on the Sounders, Abe?
I just think that we're going to win 2-0. That's what I got in my article. Okay. Sporting KC's got nothing.
Sporting KC's got nothing. I say the soccer gods give us our revenge. 3-1 Sounders. Well, thanks a lot to our viewers and to our readers and our listeners, and everyone helps us here at Seattle Side Up. Follow us at seattlesideup.com. Check us out on Twitter at Seattle Side Up, and you can follow Abe at SSU_Abraham D, and you can follow me at SSU_Richard M. Thanks so much.
By the way, don't forget to go to the Best in Western Washington on King 5's website, best.king5tv.com. Vote for us as the best sports blog in Seattle.
All right, well, that's great. Thanks so much, Abe, for joining me tonight. Have a good one.